From F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming, this is Missile Minutiae, the official podcast of the 90th Missile Wing and Team F.E. Warren. Hello, Mighty 90, and welcome to the opening up edition of Missile Minutiae, our weekly podcast. That's right, folks. Most of this podcast is going to be devoted to the fact that on June 1st, we are going to see a little bit more loosening up, a little bit more opening up here on base. Got a little bit of a change in our format. I'm Glenn Robertson with the Public Affairs Office, and with me is...
I'm Tech Sergeant Tyler Placey, and we have a special guest with us today, Major Wolf from the Med Group. How are you doing today, Major Wolf?
Outstanding. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. So the most important reason we had you on is we want to ensure that folks know, as we're reopening the base on Monday, that we're doing it the safest way possible, and we're balancing the fact that we have a mission to do, but we're also looking at our first priority, and that's the safety of our airmen, their families, and our community. Do you have anything to add as far as how we're doing this?
Sure. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So I guess the important things to note is throughout this entire time period, the Med Group has been offering recommendations, and in my position as the FEO, I offer recommendations to the Med Group Commander and the Wing Commander, and we've been following the data throughout the nation, and then also what's going on locally in the tri-state area, being Wyoming, Nebraska, and Colorado. And with guidance from DoD and MATCHCOM, we've come to a point where in this local area, so F.E. Warren, we've done very well. We jumped on this quickly. We enacted, and by we I mean Colonel Benetti, enacted measures, strict measures, which in my opinion worked. That's why you see that we had some cases early, but then we haven't had a case in several months, and that's just because we enacted those measures. Folks that were in DSI, they adhered to them, and everyone else on the base did their part. So we have been doing very well at F.E. Warren.
Thank you for answering that question, Major Wolf. Let me take 1 second. I'm going to turn over to the town hall where Colonel Benetti actually had a little bit more to add on that topic as far as the things that everyone's done to make this possible. We'll just switch over there and then we'll come right back.
All right, so wow, that's a lot of great stuff. And again, let me just reiterate. It's all because you guys have been able to follow the rules and help us maintain the calm in this storm of a pandemic we had. You know, it's just amazing to me when I'm talking to folks about all of the incredible things that you're doing out there, and how we're able to get after the mission, our socializing, we're able to get after extra things. And heck, we're even opening up the Welcome Center on 1 June. So I'm pretty excited about that. So there's a lot of great things happening, and I am absolutely looking forward to us getting into a new normal. And again, I stress a new normal, because remember, there are some restrictions that are going to be out there, and we need to maintain those restrictions. It's for everyone's safety. So this is going to be a very deliberate, very methodical process as we step through our openings and our new facility places and our new paths. For instance, like a Wake coffee shop, no more than 10 people. That's what we're going to do. We've got to be able to control the flow. We already have folks in that building. The face coverings are going to be worn in there. We need to make sure that we're taking care of the health and safety of folks who are doing food preparation for us. That needs to happen. Some places I think we're in a better state than others, but in right now I think that we just need to slowly turn the dial up and get some of the openings in there. But I really am looking forward to some great things happening.
Going back to what you were talking about before we took a break, how about the local area? You mentioned the military folks. You said how we've been doing a great job here on base. How about the local community?
In the local community, we've been tracking the numbers. We still have some cases, but in terms of the trend right now, it's stable. So Wyoming and in this county, Laramie is considered stable at this time. And then Nebraska still has some cases, but they're lower than they were, and we're watching that. They're also considered stable. And then Colorado, which has really been the hot zone in this area, which is really the reason why we had to enact a lot of the measures, just because we have a lot of folks that live in Colorado, and we have a lot of that live and work, and then work here on the base. And then we also have a lot of folks that come up from Colorado. So we've been tracking them. They're doing better. They still are they still have cases every day, but they're showing a decreasing trend. So based on the stability here locally and the decreasing trends around us, we all came to the conclusion, the med group, the rest of the wing, that we're at a point where we can loosen some measures. It's baby steps. We're going to do this safely and cautiously. So we feel like at this time we can take some baby steps to loosen some things up. And at the same time, we're still, like, I was up looking at the numbers and creating graphs last night, so I'm going to be tracking it very closely. First sign of any changes, we'll pass that information on and decide. So if anything changes, we might have to pull back. But if we keep going on this trajectory, then we can continue to keep cautiously, judiciously, and safely opening. And that's our goal. Our goal is to get to that point. I don't know when we're going to get to a pre-COVID state, but we're trying to make those steps. We want to do it safely. We don't want to just open very dramatically and quickly, because we have a very important mission here. The decisions we make, we have to make through a very different lens than the rest of the community and the rest of the areas, because we have very important mission to the nation and to the world, really. And so that's why we have also, some of the steps we've taken have been slower than the rest of the state of Wyoming, because we have a very special population here that does a very special job. And so we just have to be careful that we protect this mission and the people of this base and anyone related to this base. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much. Do you have anything for Major Wolf?
Yeah, so the question I would ask is, you mentioned baby steps. What exactly do those baby steps entail, as far as what we've heard the date June 1? Mm-hmm. What does that date mean? We've heard that the HPCon is going to change. What does that look like?
Right now, we were at HPCon Charlie. We are going to be going down a level, and basically what that means is some things will be loosened, but a lot of things will still be the same, but it just allows us to have a little more freedom. So as you'll see, as you will go through later, some of the openings in terms of different services across the base, the reason why these things can open is because we're going to a lower HPCon level. And so we'll stay there for a little bit, and then we'll watch what happens, and then Colonel Benetti will decide it, once we have more data, if we can move down another level, which would be to Alpha, or do we have to move back down to Charlie.
So we're looking at June 1st.
Mm-hmm.
As far as base access, we're looking at gates opening back up to the pre-COVID hours. And that's gate 1 from 6 to 8 a.m. and 4 to 6 p.m., both in and outbound. That's Monday through Friday. Gate 2 will continue to be the 24 hours, and then Gate 5 will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, part of those gate access hours changing is also allowing the retirees on. And there's going to be no more restrictions on the times that they can come on. And as long as those retirees are ready to come on, they will have access to the BX and commissary both, as long as they are open. And just to add on, as we're allowing more access to the base and more places that we can gain access to the base, just a reminder that the SecDef guidelines are still that a mask is required, mask or face covering.
The mask thing, that was a really important question. I actually wouldn't mind making a comment about that. So one, yes, it's still SecDef policy that on military installations you have to wear a face covering. So that's still a thing. And then important, CDC still recommends that in the nation, regardless of if you're military or not. And the reason that is, and that's why I want to pass on, is the big issue we're seeing is asymptomatic transmission, meaning there are people walking around that have SARS-CoV-2, the actual virus. They're walking around, they don't have any symptoms, they feel fine, they don't know they have it. But because they carry the virus, they could potentially spread it to other people. And so if you're wearing a face covering, like right now I'm wearing a face covering, and so when I'm talking, hopefully what that's doing is protecting you all. So when I'm talking, you don't get those germs from me. And there's some studies that also show that there is some protection for me as well. Obviously it's not a respirator, it's not the same thing, but there is some protection for me as well wearing it. We know that when people have the flu and they're coughing, or they think they have the flu, or they have upper respiratory symptoms, say, hey, they come to the med group or they're walking around, we ask them, hey, please wear a mask for other people's safety.
Sure,
and so this is kind of the same thing, and that's why actually all the public health experts, physicians in the country, top physicians, and the CDC are still recommending that we use face covering. So I know you're probably going to go downtown Cheyenne and other places, other folks aren't going to be wearing them, but I encourage you to still wear your face covering, because of the issue of asymptomatic transmission. And the big thing to think about is you just, I don't want to pass it to my family. I don't want to pass it to my coworkers or other people that maybe might get really sick from it. And so I would just encourage people to keep doing that. And on a military installation, you have to at this point.
I really appreciate that's a fantastic explanation of why we're still wearing the masks. I do have one follow-up question. I live with my dog. Is there a possibility that I could pass it to him?
So that's a great question that's come up. There have been some cases that have come up and shown that some dogs and cats and some other animals have tested positive for the SARS-CoV. There are a lot of coronaviruses out there, but they have tested positive. But my understanding is the ones that have had it, the animals that have had it, they recovered. And I don't know of any cases of a person getting SARS-CoV-2 from their pet and getting it. It's logical that it would be possible that if your pet has it, that you would get it if you kiss them, you pet them.
So I don't have to make Bandit a mask.
Well, you don't have to. It might be kind of cute, but I'm guessing Bandit probably wouldn't like it.
No, he would hate it.
He would hate it. But the important thing that I want to say on that note, I don't know if you've seen some guidance, but people do recommend that because it's kind of in the family kind of thing, and if you're healthy and if Bandit has it and passes it to you, but you're doing fine, the hope is as long as you do what you have to do, you don't pass it to anyone else. The big thing is to consider is don't let Bandit necessarily play with other dogs right now, because if, let's say, the other family has it, and then their dog gets it, and then you pet their dog, or Bandit plays with their dog, then that could be that kind of issue. So try not to pet. For me, I'm a dog lover. It's really hard for me, but I have to stay away from petting other people's dogs. And I don't mean to be rude to people, but I kind of keep my dogs away so they don't pet my dogs because I'm all over my dogs. So just those kinds of measures right now, I think would be fine.
Man, I appreciate that because that's something I had no idea about and hadn't done any research on. Glenn, did you have any other questions?
I think it might be a good idea to get into what services is starting to open up. Yeah, what services are starting to look like they're going to open up, and maybe if you Major Wolf have any insight as to why some of these facilities were opened up. Instead of going down item by item, we're just going to kind of split it up into different types of services. Okay. First one being food service.
Yes.
We're looking at the bowling alley. We're looking at Chadwell Hall. Those types of things. What was the decision-making process in that, and are there any concerns for people with food service being available now a little bit more open than it was?
Okay, so the answer to that is, again, just because of the stability, we haven't had cases here on F.E. Warren itself, the stability in the local area, it was felt that folks could go in with, of course, social distancing, the sanitation methods that the DFAC folks and all the different eateries on base will employ. So they're going to keep wiping everything down before and after folks eat. You keep people socially distanced, like restaurants that have opened up outside. And if you limit the number of people that are eating, at any one point in a closed environment, then it was felt at this point that we could at least give it a go and see how it works out. And we'll track if there are any problems that pop up. Sure, we would close that up. But it was just felt at this time that we didn't have any cases, for example, for folks that were going to the DFAC to pick up food to go. There were no concerns there. Nowhere on the base in terms of eating places was there a concern. So it was felt at this time that we could take that next step and see if folks could eat in, limited people, of course, and socially distancing. So we'll see how that goes.
Sounds like a plan. So going from food service to another thing that has been a frequent question on Facebook Messenger, oddly enough, we get a lot of questions about the gym, fitness centers. What are we looking at as far as that goes? I mean, are there any concerns as we open up Freedom and Independence Hall?
So they've been open for a bit. I know even the Med Group, we made recommendations a while ago to Colonel Benetti in terms of what could be done, and it appears that folks were using the gym, but not as many as you would think. And I don't know if that's because people just felt not comfortable going to the gym at that point. My understanding is the gym will open, but it will not be open to retirees. Is that accurate? Okay. And the thought behind that, no offense to any retirees, we appreciate your service, it's the issue of trying to still separate both the DSIers and active duty population that are doing this very important nuclear mission from folks that are out in the community, in and out, higher risk folks, potentially with other medical problems that could be asymptomatic carriers, that come into the gym. And the issue with the gym, there's a couple issues. One, closed environment. So, as you're working out and you're breathing harder, we know that particles go farther. We know that some of them stay in the air for a while until gravity pulls them down, depending on how big they are. So that takes a while for those particles to get out of the air. Touching surfaces, right? If you're touching the weights or touching the different equipment, those need to be wiped, down very judiciously. But those are the concerns. So it's a very easy, close, confined space where people are breathing hard is a potential place where if someone is an asymptomatic carrier, that it could cause a number of people to be exposed. Hence, we're just trying to separate the higher risk groups of folks that are out in the community. Not saying that our active duty folks are not out in the community, but there are some folks that are on DSI and they have specific things they're allowed to do and not to do. And other active duty folks are aware that they need to take precautions to protect the base and what they do. So the big thing I can say about the gym is just make sure, because you don't know when the equipment was last wiped down. Wipe it down before you use it. Wipe it down after you use it. Socially distance from other people. I know and it was kind of an arbitrary number per science, to be honest, the 6 foot. In fact, I was just reading, trying to remember where it was. They're actually enacting 30 feet. So just so you know, so when you're working out, I would go further than 6 feet if you can, just because you're going to be breathing hard. Other people, you might cough. So if you can, stay further apart. And I believe the gym has taken measures to actually separate people. They're doing a great job, and I know FSS has done a phenomenal job through this entire COVID situation. So, and then of course when you go home, my recommendation is as soon as you get in the home, wash your hands, because you probably touch stuff, and take a shower, and you should be good. And if you can exercise outside, of course, I recommend outside any day of the week.
Awesome. I know one of the questions that we're going to get, everyone gets it. So what is the difference between going in the DFAC or going to an office compared to going to the gym? Would you say one of those bigger issues is there are just more touch points? You have to touch everything in the gym.
Correct. So one thing for the DFAC, you're not going to be there very long, right? You're going to get in, get your food, maybe you'll sit for a little. You're not breathing hard, most likely, or you're just sitting down. So it's a very short time period. In the gym, you're probably going to spend more time. You're correct. More touch points, heavier breathing, coughing, just more opportunity for the virus to be sitting around and be spread to other folks. And then office, yes, people spend a lot of time in their offices, at work and in their offices, but a lot of times people are socially distanced at work, right? So that they have their own space. If you're not socially distanced, of course, you wear your facial covering, you wipe down your areas, your computer, your desk, and all those things. You should be okay as long as you take those measures. And obviously, the big thing that goes for everyone is if you don't feel well, tell your supervisor and stay home, because at this point, we don't know what it is. And so just to be safe, if you're not feeling well, stay home.
Right. And you did mention, before I asked my last question, you mentioned working out outside. So there are going to be quite a few things, the ODR, we're going to have the FAM camp and some of those other things opening up.
Sure.
What can you recommend outside of, just using your common sense social distancing?
Right.
What can you recommend while people are outside enjoying this beautiful weather that we're having?
Yeah. Well, I am a big fan of people enjoying the weather. I think it's good for physical health. It's good for mental health. Throughout this whole time, I was a fan of people going outside. We just have to do it smartly. So you just pretty much said everything. Socially distanced, right? Obviously, if you're with your family, you can do that. The thought is, if anyone of your family has it, you're going to get it. So it's outside of the family, socially distanced from folks that are not in your family. If you're playing, let's say, at the playground, for example, go have fun, but then make sure you and the kids go home, you wash your hands, okay? Because you're going to touch all these touch points where other kids have been touching. So just make sure that everyone, when you go home from the playground, you've touched that equipment, you'll wash your hands. If you're playing tennis, for example, again, same thing. It's kind of a naturally socially distanced sport, other than maybe touching the ball. Wash your hands afterwards. Try not to touch your face. Now, here's the difficult part when you're sweating and you're playing sports. I try very hard not to, but it's very hard. Exactly. Don't don't touch your eyes, your nose. Try to avoid it. If you can do the old Jack Tripper, and wear the little bands and those kinds of things for sweat, go to town, do that. Just try not to touch your face. Wash your hands afterwards. Basketball courts, of course. It looks like we're going to be allowed for individual shoot around, meaning you're going to have the ball by yourself. You're not going to be passing it. So what I recommend is wipe down the ball before you use it, play around, have a great time, wipe it down afterwards, wash your hands. Boom, you're good. What else? Same thing goes for archery and any other outdoor sport. Just use common sense and good sanitation practices, good hand hygiene. I'm going to urge folks. We've learned some lessons through COVID. Things we probably should have been doing, not probably, for sure should have been doing beforehand, but I think we just got lax in society in general, all across the world, not here. Good hand washing goes a long way.
Sure. That's good advice.
Absolutely.
Probably the best way of combating any disease
Absolutely.
is just proper hygiene.
Just little old viruses that can just be a nuisance for most folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now let's turn our attention to the town hall that happened last night to hear some closing remarks from Lieutenant Colonel Ramirez, who's the FSS commander, Chief Bettisworth, and Colonel Benetti.
So first off, just thank you for everyone's patience and support to the FSS. I know our team is really excited to get back and offer more things for you. Hopefully the virtual events have been a success, but even just our community services, fun facilities, CPO manpower, the NPF, of course, and our other activities are looking forward to getting back to work and providing those quality services to you here at FE Warren. The stoplight chart that you saw published this week, Erin out of our marketing department, she did a great job with that. We will continuously update that, and we have one that incorporates all these changes. So as soon as we get the green light, we will publish that out onto our social media platforms for your use. And then we'll just continuously update that as we have changes. And then again, drive-in movie. So I know that was a big hit last weekend. So come out tomorrow. They're going to be showing The Lion King. And again, thank you for your support. And that is something that we want to do in the future. And we're looking forward to providing that. So thanks.
It really is amazing, all of the things that FSS has been able to continue doing during all of this uncertainty. We've been stuck inside, and yet these folks have been managing to figure out ways to keep our airmen active, busy, and interested, which is absolutely fantastic. So we'll take a second, we'll move over from FSS, and we will go over to Chief.
Well, I have one special shout out. Today was a very, very special day for one of our senior master sergeants who will no longer be called Sergeant Teets. Today he is officially, he is Chief Teets. So congratulations. Not only are you a top 1% in the Air Force, but you are a striker chief, and we're very, very proud of you. Very proud to have you on our team. And thanks to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Please share this and just continue to put forth the efforts that you have already. It's looking great, and I am excited just to see the progress from where we go from here into the future, and hopefully no turning back.
And last but certainly not least, let's hear from the boss. What did Colonel Benetti have to say at the end of the town hall?
So first, I guess, LRS, man, you conned me, I think. So first, I thought it was because you needed more time to digest all of the amazing information that we got for the town hall. I didn't realize it was because Chief Teets wasn't sober. I mean, that's probably what happened.
They're out partying.
They're out partying. Well, congrats, Chief Teets. That's
Celebrate.
awesome. And to the Teets family, thank you very much for continuing to be incredible supporters on this base, and certainly amazing military citizens. So thank you all for what you're doing, folks. I can't say it enough. I cannot say it enough. All of the successes that we've had, all of the things that we're able to open up slowly, methodically, deliberately, are because you have been able to keep us healthy, because you're following the rules, because you're listening, because you're wearing your facial coverings, because you're washing your hands, you're practicing good hygiene habits. It's gonna, as more things open, the temptations will open the aperture as well. I ask you to make sure that what you're doing is worth it, okay? Make sure that you understand that, us having a resurgence means that we're going to have to go back to HPCon Charlie or worse, so it doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet, but we're doing great. And that's all because all of the things that you and your families have been doing, and everyone that's been helping us out, and even our retiree population that was very, very, very supportive as we went through the very difficult time and the very difficult decision to close down the gates for a while with that access. You guys have been wonderful, absolutely amazing. I'm truly humbled to be part of this team, and I'm truly humbled to be standing here today and telling you, this is a great place to be. This is an amazing team, and this is absolutely, absolutely probably the highlight of my career. I have no doubt about that. And as the chief likes to tell me, it's a long career, a very long career. And I know that she's telling me that it's because I'm really old, and I'd be hurt if I had feelings. So all of that is normal. But listen, thanks to all of you. I'm glad we were able to take an extra day and do this. We will have some more clarifications, I think by Tuesday. We're hoping to have some more information from the personnel readiness folks up at OSD so that we can get more information out to you all. Continue to ask your unit leadership, continue to ask your supervisor, continue to ask these great questions to us. Because again, that's the way we work, is we communicate, right? And there's no such thing as over communicating for us. It's communicating, right? So however long it takes, however many times you have to say it, we're willing to do that because we're in this together. And we're in this together because we are on a no-fail mission. At the end of the day, our job is to make sure that we are ready and able to employ weapons of mass destruction at the command of the president or his national command authority. So I thank every single one of you for everything you do every single day. And again, it's great to see you all. I look forward to seeing you soon. I look forward to our next time when we can have even more improvements. So until then, go get them, Mighty 90. We'll talk to you soon.
I understand why people. Wow. I understand why people are upset. I get it. Like, all too well. I get it.
Game. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is hot as shit. Yeah. Cool. Neat. This thing's pretty fucking wild. It's got like a fucking heat map on it. Mine doesn't have that.
Oh, you can turn it off up in the left-hand corner.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
Oh, fair enough.
I mean, maybe I'll figure out how to put it on mine. Cool. So
What are we talking about?
So basically, we're just closing the fucking thing out. So,
From what?
oh, the last thing was just saying.
That MP3 is on iTunes.
Okay.
If you want to just play
That
the
was
last, whatever's on there last.
Right, take something for you.
Dildo.
Fit on yours.
Dildoa Bilboa.
Dildo Bilbo. Nice.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it does make sense.
That's a rocky hard dildo.
Oh, my friend, you are not well, sir.
It was straight from the dome piece right now.
I like it. Rocky hard. Hi, Bandit. Hi, bud. I won't ever hit you. I won't ever.
He still does that with me.
So does Hunter with me. Had that damn dog for 10 years.
I haven't had him quite that long, but.
You're a good boy.
Lay down, bub. Hey.
No, that's just from.
It's like, but he was petting me. I liked it.
Good boy. Good bandit.
You're a good boy.
Right, just run it straight through.
Groupon goods. Yeah, I need to, I was going to say, I don't know how this equipment thing is going to shake out, but, Kaz said he was going to pass out some of the new equipment that's coming out, and they were talking about giving Terry and I mirrorless, which I don't know necessarily much about the mirrorless camera, so
I don't know shit about it. I don't care to know anything about it, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't care to know anything about the cameras, just how to fucking use it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I give a shit about.
Sure.
I'm never going to fucking sell them. You know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
do I need to know? All I need to know is how to use it. How to make it work for me. That's it.
Sure. Get the fucking product that you need.
Just see what kind of holes you ran, man. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Oh, nice mullet, bro.
Oh, he runs those older hoes.
Yeah, plugged in.
Yeah, what'd you think was behind that door? That's a stable.
Oh, this got upsetting. Oh, good stuff.
All right, what are we saying?
All right, well, fuck it. Let's just talk. Well,
What
folks.
are we talking about?
Huh?
Well, folks, go ahead.
Tyler's a fuckstick.
Please keep that in.
Oh yes, no worries. I do keep most of it. Well, folks, that is about it from us. We have brought. Fuck it. Well, folks, that's about it from us. As you guys have obviously heard through the through all of this, we are going to be opening up the base a little bit more on June 1st. Tyler, what do you got about that?
So for more updates on what's opening up June 1st and some of the future openings that FSS may have as far as child care and the youth center, work with your leadership, but first and foremost, check out the official Facebook page of FE Warren. And that's going to be it for us, folks. Until next time. Awesome. I know one of the questions that we're going to get, everyone gets it. So what is the difference between going in the DFAC or going to an office compared to going to the gym? Would you say one of those bigger issues is there are just more touch points? You have to touch everything in the gym.
Correct. So one thing for the DFAC, you're not going to be there very long, right? You're going to get in, get your food, maybe you'll sit for a little. You're not breathing hard, most likely, or you're just sitting down. So it's a very short time period. In the gym, you're probably going to spend more time. You're correct. More touch points, heavier breathing, coughing, just more opportunity for the virus to be sitting around and be spread to other folks. And then office, yes, people spend a lot of time in their offices, at work and in their offices, but a lot of times people are socially distanced at work, right? So that they have their own space. If you're not socially distanced, of course, you wear your facial covering, you wipe down your areas, your computer, your desk, and all those things. You should be okay as long as you take those measures. And obviously, the big thing that goes for everyone is if you don't feel well, tell your supervisor and stay home. Because at this point, we don't know what it is. And so just to be safe, if you're not feeling well, stay home.
Right. And you did mention, before I asked my last question, you mentioned working out outside. So there are going to be quite a few things. The ODR, we're going to have the FAM camp and some of those other things opening up.
Sure.
What can you recommend outside of, just using your common sense social distancing?
Right.
What can you recommend while people are outside enjoying this beautiful weather that we're having?
Yeah. Well, I am a big fan of people enjoying the weather. I think it's good for physical health. It's good for mental health. Throughout this whole time, I was a fan of people going outside. We just have to do it smartly. So you just pretty much said everything. Socially distanced, right? Obviously, if you're with your family, you can do that. The thought is, if anyone of your family has it, you're going to get it. So it's outside of the family, socially distanced from folks that are not in your family. If you're playing, let's say, at the playground, for example, go have fun, but then make sure you and the kids go home, you wash your hands, okay? Because you're going to touch all these touch points where other kids have been touching. So just make sure that everyone, when you go home from the playground, you've touched that equipment, you'll wash your hands. If you're playing tennis, for example, again, same thing. It's kind of a naturally socially distanced sport other than maybe touching the ball. Wash your hands afterwards. Try not to touch your face. Now, here's the difficult part when you're sweating and you're playing sports. I try very hard not to, but it's very hard. Exactly. Don't touch your eyes, your nose. Try to avoid it. If you can do the old Jack Tripper, and wear the little bands and those kinds of things for sweat, go to town, do that. Just try not to touch your face. Wash your hands afterwards. Basketball courts, of course. It looks like we're going to be allowed for individual shoot around, meaning you're going to have the ball by yourself. You're not going to be passing it. So what I recommend is wipe down the ball before you use it, play around, have a great time, wipe it down afterwards, wash your hands. Boom, you're good. What else? Same thing goes for archery and any other outdoor sport. Just use common sense and good sanitation practices, good hand hygiene. I'm going to urge folks. We've learned some lessons through COVID. Things we probably should have been doing, not probably, for sure should have been doing beforehand, but I think we just got lax in society in general, all across the world, not here. Good hand washing goes a long way.
Sure. That's good advice.
Absolutely.
Probably the best way of combating any disease
Absolutely.
is just proper hygiene.
Just little old viruses that can just be a nuisance for most folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that has come up, there's been a couple of questions, particularly as people get into the retirement season, changes of command, those types of things. We're going to have people that are going to be bunching up together. So that being said, what are we looking at as far as those groups coming together for these types of events? Are they going to be allowed? Are we going to... How are we going to handle that, ma'am?
What kind of events are you, sorry, so I'm tracking.
So sure. So I mean, anything that might potentially have a group of 25 or more,
Like Right Start, those kinds of things?
Those types of things,
Copy.
Right Start.
Okay.
That's actually a good one. ALS,
Okay.
graduations, those types of things. Are they going to be allowed to have their graduations if they follow certain expectations and that type of thing?
Okay. So right now, the state of Wyoming has a limit of under 25 people in a social gathering. Of course, socially distanced, wearing your facial covering if you're not socially distanced. And so my understanding is that that's what's going to be acceptable here on base. Obviously, if you can limit it to fewer people, fantastic. But that's going to be my understanding of what's going to be allowed here on base. So just under 25 people, good hand hygiene, social distancing, wearing your facial cover, that should work just fine.
Sure.
And so I will leave that to the other experts to say whether they're going to have, it looks like I'm reading it here. Here we go. They will have an F-Tech class in the base theater. That's what I'm reading here. So obviously, same thing goes. Try to socially distance yourself, right? Don't pack up next to each other, sitting right next to each other like you normally would so you can chat or that kind of thing. I don't know the specifics, but I'm going to venture to guess that they are going to make people socially distance, not letting them sit next to each other.
We'll probably get back to the kindergarten, elementary school assigned seating, I would assume.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
we get a nap too?
That would.
I like
hope
that
so.
idea.
Because that was
I
my
hope
favorite.
so.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
That would
sounds
probably
reasonable.
also help your immune system, I would guess.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, after working here for close to 4 years and going through 3 change of command seasons, it's going to be a little strange watching changes of commands
Yes.
with so few people.
Right.
That the first and last salute is going to be, instead of a unified group or a unit, it's going to be one person rendering a salute. But these are the times we live in, and these are the things that we adapt to and we get through. That's what we do. We adapt and we overcome. So.
Right.
Absolutely. Major Wolf, did you have any final words that you would like to share with folks before we cut out of here?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to hang out with you guys. Our PA team is amazing, and I've had a lot of fun and learned a lot from them, so kudos to you guys. And just for everyone, my stand is, of course, just be responsible, make good choices. Everything is about risk management in life, so how much risk are you willing to accept? And just think things through, and of course, enjoy life, have a good time, socialize with your family and friends. No one wants to take that away. That's very important. Just do it smartly and safely. Just, sometimes people don't make the best decisions, but I just encourage people, just think it through a little. Wash your hands, sanitize things, socially distance, wear your face covering. You've heard this like 9 million times from me. But please, as things loosen up, I don't want people to let their guard down. Yes, take advantage of all the things we can do, please. I think we've realized how much we were taking things for granted before. Enjoy them, be safe, but just don't let your guard down, because we don't know what's coming next. And really what I would like is that there is no big second wave, that it's just kind of a little nice flat thing like any other virus or anything. And so that's my goal for this base, is that we maintain what we've done, because we've done a great job. But that's because everyone did their part on this base. It wasn't 1 or 2 people. It was everyone really stepped up and did their part. And so I think that's a credit to the Mighty 90. And so I'm proud to be a part of the Mighty 90. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure to see you, a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, folks, that's about it from us. As you guys have obviously heard through through all of this, we are going to be opening up the base a little bit more on June 1st. Tyler, what do you got about that?
So for more updates on what's opening up June 1st and some of the future openings that FSS may have as far as child care and the youth center, work with your leadership, but first and foremost, check out the official Facebook page of FE Warren. And that's going to be it for us, folks. Until next time.